Okay, on note 6.4, we're going to be solving more rational equations. Remember, a rational equation means that you have fractions. So we talked about on 6.3 that you need to get rid of those fractions so that way you're able to solve for x and find what x equals. Okay, so we're going to find the LCD first. So notice the first fraction is an x plus 1 and I can't factor it, so bring it down. Notice the other fraction is the same exact thing, x plus 1. So there's your LCD. We're going to go through and we're going to multiply everything by the LCD. Okay, so notice the first one is not a fraction, so I'm going to distribute. That's going to be 2x plus 2. Notice x plus 1 cancels. Bring down your subtraction, and you have left a 1. You have to put that 1 there. Bring your equal sign down. Notice the x plus 1's cancel, and you're left with x. Okay, so now we have a linear equation that we're solving. Notice we have x's on both sides, so I'm going to combine like terms on the left side before I start moving things. So that's 2x plus 1 equals x. Since I only have an x on that right side, I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 2x over. And then you get 1 equals a negative x. And then divide by negative 1. So you get x equals a negative 1. Now, remember we talked about on a rational equation, make sure that you're checking for extraneous solutions. An extraneous solution on a rational equation would be what causes your denominator to be 0. So if you notice, if you plug in a negative 1 for x on the original, that it causes both of those to be 0, and that's undefined. So since that doesn't work, no solution on number 1. Okay, so number 2, we need to find the LCD because we have 3 fractions. Okay, so LCD first. Notice we have a 2 in common. You're left with x plus 4. So I'm bringing that down from the first denominator. Second denominator, I can factor that. That's difference of squares. That would be x plus 4, x minus 4. So notice we already have the x plus 4, but we do not have the x minus 4, so I need to bring that down. Notice on the last fraction that we have, they have a 2 in common, and I'm left with x minus 4. Notice we already have the 2, we already have the x minus 4. So there's our LCD. So we're going to go through and multiply everything by your LCD. And make sure if you factored your denominator to get your LCD that you want to write it in factored form. Okay, so first one, the 2's cancel and x plus 4's. So we need to distribute the 10 to the x minus 4. So that's 10x minus 40. The x plus 4, x minus 4 cancels. So I have, that's a subtraction. So I have a negative 2 that I'm going to distribute to both of those. So that's minus 14x minus 16. And that will equal 2's cancel, x minus 4's cancel. So I need to distribute that negative 8. So that's negative 8x minus 32. Okay, so notice that we have like terms on the left side, so let's go ahead and combine those. So that will be negative 4x and that would be negative 56. So now we have a linear equation. We're just getting x by itself, so we need to move the x's to one side. So I'm going to add 8x. I'm going to get 4x minus 56 equals negative 32. So then we'll add 56. And that would be 4x equals 24. Divide by 4. So you're going to get x equals 6. So again, when you're solving a rational equation, you need to check the denominator. Notice if we were to plug a 6 into x for any of those denominators, it would not cause your denominator to be 0. So that's a good solution. X equals 6. Okay, let's take a look at 3. So finding the LCD at the very beginning. X minus 1 I can't factor, so I'm bringing it down. I have a 3, so I have to bring that down. And I already have the x minus 1. So my LCD would be 3 times x minus 1. So multiplying every term by that LCD. Okay, the x minus 1's cancel, and then we'll distribute the 3. So that's 3x plus 3. 3's cancel, so I need to distribute the x. So that's x squared minus x. Bring down your plus sign. X minus 1's cancel, so I need to multiply the 3 and 2 to get 6. So notice now that we're left with a quadratic equation. So if we have a quadratic equation, to solve it you can use whatever method, but we're going to use factoring. So we need to set it equal to 0. We want x squared to be positive when we're factoring. It's already positive, so I'm going to subtract 3x and subtract 3 on both sides of the equation. So you have 0 equals x squared. Combining the x's, you get negative 4x, and then plus 3. So 3 terms, we want to do sum and product. So sum would be negative 4, product would be 3. So that would be a negative 3 and a negative 1. So remember, once we factored, to solve it, you have to set each factor equal to 0. So x would equal 3 and positive 1. So check both of those before you write it as your solution. Notice the 3 will not cause our denominator to be 0, but if you were to plug a 1 in here, that's going to be 0 in the denominator, which is undefined, so we can't have that. So the 1 doesn't work, but we can have that 3 for a solution. So x equals 3. So when you have 2 solutions, you need to check them. Check both of them. Okay, last one. So factoring this trinomial, sum's negative 8, product is 15. That would be a negative 5 and a negative 3. So bring both of those down. And then notice we already have an x minus 5, and then we already have the x minus 3. Okay, so we don't need to bring those down. So I'm multiplying everything by the LCD. Remember, if you factored it, to write the factored form. Okay, so looking at the first one, both of them cancel. So you're left with 7x plus 3. Bring down your plus sign. X minus 5's cancel, so we distribute. And that's going to be 3x squared minus 9x. Bring down your equal sign. X minus 3's cancel. We need to distribute that negative 1. That's negative x plus 5. Okay, so notice we have a quadratic equation. We need to combine like terms on the left side. So I'm going to put it in standard form with my x squared first, then my x. So combining 7 minus 9, we get negative 2x. And then you have the plus 3. Alright, so since our x squared term is positive, I want to keep it there, which means to set it equal to 0, I want to add x and subtract 5. So that's 3x squared minus x minus 2. So we have a trinomial. We need to factor it. Sum would be negative 1. Product would be negative 6. So that would be a negative 3 and a positive 2. But you're not finished because we have that 3. We have to use the swing method. So divide by 3. Reduce before you swing. So that would be x minus 1. And then 3x plus 2. Alright, so we factored. We're setting each one equal to 0. So x would equal 1. And then if you can't figure that one out, just solve for x. 3x would equal negative 2. So the other one would be negative 2/3. Okay, so let's check it. Plug in a 1 into the denominator. Notice it doesn't cause your denominator to be 0. Neither does the negative 2/3. So both of those would be a good solution. So negative 1, or positive 1, my bad, and negative 2/3. So that's a positive 1. Okay, so solving a rational equation, you're trying to get rid of the fractions. So in order to do that, you are finding the LCD of all the denominators at the beginning and then multiplying everything by your LCD to get rid of those fractions.